From the quiet corners of Nairobi, where the tarmac ends and the carriage begins, to the windswept highlands of the north, where the earth breathes ancient secrets and Lake Paradise awaits, like a mirage in the wild. This is not just a journey, it's a test of will, grit, and spirit. Over 500 kilometers of changing landscapes, through deserts, forests, forgotten towns, and stories untold. Get ready for an expedition like no other. No shortcuts, no turning back. Just man, machine, and the wild unknown. Some roads are not meant to be easy. Some stories Hello guys, welcome to yet another episode of Konnekt Live. And you know, Wednesdays are for getting live and direct. It's that segment of Auto Connect where we get to interact with you directly. Yani unatutumia swali na tunarudisha hiyo swali hapa live. Mambo ni live. Naona watu pale kwa comment section wanasema they are very ready for Wednesday. Yes, kama kawa kama dawa, we are here and basically to discuss what has happened in the automotive world in the last 1 week and also to get a chance to answer your questions. But before we even read your salamus, by the way, you can be andika salamu na utuambie you're watching us from where you're watching us from on the comment section. But before then, we are very happy and excited to be okay, sijui nianze kuachapia hii story wapi. So next week we normally have our live session at Trio Complex and next week we are going to have an Auto Connect Grande Motor Imports tour in Uganda. Guys like Karota, Uganda, next week Wednesday at a time like this we will be in your home ground, and this is part of our expansion into the East African market, and also both in terms of content and also making sure that people get reliable and affordable cars. It's on a bid to explore the East African market at large and also get to serve everyone in the East African market. So the first beneficiaries are guys from Uganda. Yes, the Pearl of Africa. We are going to be visiting you, and this is something that is going to be very exciting. So we're going to be there from the 22nd all the way to the 25th of July, and that will be the Auto Connect Grande Motor Imports Uganda tour. So thank you so much, guys, and we'll be looking forward to meeting all the Ugandans that we see here on our live broadcast. Some of them being guys like Karota, Uganda, and there's another fellow, other three fellows there. Please, they are going to comment on the comment section so that I also get to mention them here. But anyway, tuingie ndani tuanze mambo ya leo, and we are going to start with wangapi wako present, wangapi wameingia class. Let's see. We have Achieng Frederick from Shamahoho. He's very ready for Wednesday. Josh Oman, thank you so much, Josh, for always joining us for this live session that we normally have every Wednesday. Hamless Level is very ready for Wednesday. Karota, Uganda, good evening. Eric Moki is also tuned from Kitengela. Stephen Mureithi tuned in from Meru. Stephen Mureithi drives a very nice Subaru XV. James Muni is tuned in from Mushakude, a place called Kutus. Brian Kemboi is tuned in from Kapsabet. Brian Salimiana pale namgoi sana. We have Antis Mwans is also here with us. Peter Nganga from Republic of Saudi Arabia. We have Timothy Chalo from Ruaka. We have Edwin Mayo from Mumias. Karibu sana Edwin. We have Hamless Level. Anasema I should take the trooper to Uganda. Harmless, relax. Tulia, relax. Peter Nganga, hizo kwanza ni maswali. Karota Uganda is saying he's very happy and we are welcome there. Joe Madenge from Gilgil, karibu sana. Benson Otonda tuned in from Kamatira on transit, ready for Wednesday Night Live. Benson Otonda, travel safe bana. Pala Kamatira, make sure unateremka gari ikiwa imenyongwa na namba 2. No freewheeling hapo, sawa sawa. John Gaidho from my hometown, County 021, Moranga. We have Cyrus Kibe from Moya, and he's saying do a Samburu road trip, tuimbe song ya safari ya Samburu. Pia hiyo ina come through. Sir Fred from Joska, Morioki Marigi is also in. The funny reflection is typing while deleting. Sawa. Okay, so this is how the show is going to go down today. We are going to start with our Q&A, and then towards the second segment of the show, we are going to talk about 2 things that have happened in the last 1 week. One of them is is on KRA, and that is the introduction of what is called as the certificate of origin, and that will increase the cost by a small percentage, the cost of importing a car. Also, we have some new directives from the Communication Authority of Kenya. It's called the Communication Authority these days, the CA. And that is about people who do tracking, who offer tracking services and their licensing. So very soon, si kila mtu atakuwa na kuwekea gari tracker. Yes, they are going to, there is some regulation they want to enforce when it comes to tracking. The other one is on KEBS. Now, KEBS local inspection on imported motor vehicles is about to get even more stringent. So we are going to tackle this towards the end of, on the second segment of this show. But for now, we start with your favorite segment, and that is the Q&A. Na hapa turudi hapa. Who else? Wacha nione. We have Enoch Mwandwa from Juja, Shaibu from Ngong, and Malcolm Motie from Utawala, Patwanjao is also inside. So let's start with the first question. There's a question I've seen here. Samuel is saying that the only guy who would drive a trooper like it's a Ferrari and stall it like it's a tractor. What are my thoughts on the WRX S4? Well, I must say it's not a bad car, but for Subaru purists, we'll always have that nostalgia of the older WRXs, man. Those were the real OGs, the frameless doors, the EJ20 turbos. Those cars would be tuned to infinity. The S4s, yeah, they are nice cars, but I believe they also have their limits as well as compared to the older breed of Subaru performance vehicles. Peter Nganga is saying Toyota Fielder 2010 G edition for 600k, bad bees ama iko sawa but needs bodyworks kiasi. 2010 Fielder 600 knows bei poa. Because those cars are quite pricey, especially for 2010s. When you talk about bodywork, also the extent of bodywork needs to be well defined. But tayari, it sounds like it's a good deal because in the market, 2010 Fielders are going for between 750 all the way to 850, depending on how clean it is. So if you get it at 600 and give it around 150,000, you'll be landing in at the market price. If the bodywork is not so extensive, then it can still be a deal. Tuendelee. There is another question I had seen here. Tyrus Kamande is saying ako Miritini. Tyrus Kamande, asante sana pale Miritini. Salimiana pale pale Miritini kuna nini? Kuna CFS rafiki yetu sana hapo inaitwa Africa Line CFS. So CK is saying, do you know even facelifting a car is also faking life? It depends on where you're which angle you're looking at it from. Presviki is saying, why is that the duty of foreign used cars is high while zero mileage is low? Actually, that is not true. It's the other way around. Tom? He's saying that duty for foreign used cars is high while zero mileage is low. I don't think so. I don't think so. Not unless you're talking about zero mileage that have been the zero mileage units that have been assembled here. Yes, those ones they have been, I think, incentivized kidogo. But those are the vehicles that come in as knockdown kits, or what are called CKDs. But and like even some of the vehicles that we call local here, not all of them are actually assembled here. In fact, very few vehicles are being assembled here, especially on the Sifao lineup. There are not very many. um, I believe they are assembling. There are plans to assemble the Hilux here and a few other models, and the Land Cruiser single cab. Yeah, there are a few models that are being assembled at AVA Mombasa. Simba Corp also is also assembling the Mahindra Scorpio here at AVA. Sifao is assembling. There are plans to move their assembly to KVM in Thika. So yeah, if you bring the cars as CKDs, the duty is going to be lighter on them. But if you bring them as full vehicles, then the duty is going to be quite hefty on them. Kevin Kiptum is asking, hello Okabi, can I get a clean Mitsubishi Lancer CS3 with 300k? I will not say no, but it's good. It's good to just look around and see what is available in the market. We have Benson Otonda. Hi Eric. Comparison on Sienta and Freed, pros and cons of each. Now the Sienta is a little bit more spacious compared to the Freed. Both are very reliable, Toyota and Honda. The Freed is not as common as the Sienta. So if I was to be asked if I would choose between a Freed and a Sienta, personal opinion, I would go for the Sienta. Although even the Freed looks quite nice and they are both MPVs, they are both multi-purpose vehicles. But also, it depends on what you want to do with the car, because Toyotas and Hondas, I believe it will narrow down to your personal choice, because both are very reliable cars. They are relatively easy to maintain as well. We have Wainaina Ndongo. Hi, Autoconnect. I'm considering a Suzuki SX4 instead of a Honda Vezel. Please talk about the SX4 in terms of cost, reliability, fuel consumption, and maintenance. Thank you. So, Mr. Wainaina, let me tell you something about the SX4, especially the new SX4. The new SX4, well, it's a deal looking at how much it goes for in the market, but it has looks that only a mother would love. Hiyo gari haina sura mzuri, but the good thing about driving a car is that you actually drive a car from the inside, not from the outside. So when it comes to looks, wale watu wako na shida na looks are the people on the outside, not you on the inside. That's one thing. But in terms of fuel economy, it's hard for the SX4 to beat a Honda Vezel hybrid. So if we are comparing oranges to oranges, we would have to compare it with the Honda Vezel RE1, then an hybrid one, which is a 1500cc. The SX4 is a 1600cc. Well, the SX4 also comes in two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. Yeah, the four-wheel drive variant is called the All Grip. Now, the Honda Vezel also comes either in two-wheel or in AWD. Now, the significant difference between the two, I'm not saying the SX4 is bad, but it's hard for the SX4 to beat a Vezel. One, in terms of first impression. Number two, even in terms of spacing and in terms of general size. But the SX4 is not a bad car. It's a smaller Escudo. But I feel that you'd have compared the SX4 with the Escudo, because those are vehicles that would actually match the pricing, and both are subcompact crossover SUVs, which the SX4 is surprisingly is as well. But if you're comparing the SX4 to a Vezel, I feel there is some injustice to the SX4. So it's a deal, and that one, it's a car that needs to be bought by someone who wants to move from point A to point B. Somebody who does not care about what is trending. Somebody who does not care about how a car looks. Because, hey, it's hard for the SX4 to grow into you. Tuendelee. Pat Wanjao is saying here, the APT student, between a Caldina GT with a 3S GT and a turbocharged 2-liter Legacy, some help here. Now, Pat, you see, if you're talking about the 3S and the EJ20, there are a few significant differences between these two cars. One, if you're talking about the 2-liter Legacy with the EJ20, it will come with all-wheel drive as standard. The Caldina, on the other hand, will come mostly as front wheel drive. Uh, the Legacy has superior stability because of the lowered center of gravity thanks to the flat 4 engine. So it has an upper hand when it comes to handling, comparing it to the Caldina 3S GTE. And that is why I believe the Caldinas, yes, were fast, but the Subarus were more preferred. Okay. Um, then with the 3S GTE locally, there's only so much you can do. We do not have so many tuners for the 3S GTE if you want to um, to add some performance to it. But with the Subaru engines, EJ20s, EJ25s, we have so many tuners out here who can tune those engines quite well and who have some good experience as opposed to the Toyota tuners. Are we together, hadi hapo? So the funny reflection show 2013 Mazda Axela versus 2014 Auris RS for a first time car owner. Now both cars are good, but it all narrows down to personal preference. But remember, if you're talking about the Auris, just know that it's a CVT transmission if it's not manual. Also be very, ni vizuri ukuwa unajua hiyo RS isikuwe ni RS badge tu. Yeah, so I still feel the Auris that would beat an Axela is probably the Auris with the 2ZZ engine. The 1ZZ, the 1600cc motor that has both the dual VVTi and Valvematic. That is the only, and comes with a 6-speed manual. That was I think that was is it was called the Z what? It was on that was a European spec, and most of them only came from the UK. There's one, if you follow me on Instagram, I'll show you one tomorrow. That's the only one that could probably beat a Mazda Axela, because the Mazda Axela comes standard with a 6-speed auto. It's very economical of fuel, very reliable. It handles very well. The problem with CVTs is that they are not, yes, they are not bad, especially Toyota CVTs. But whenever you're driving that car up a hill, it feels like you're stamping on a piglet. That CVT whine can sometimes be very annoying. 434 is saying, great show, Eric. How is a T30 X-Trail Loco 6-speed manual diesel? They were not bad. In fact, those were called the DCI, direct injection common rail. Yes, and most of them utazipata zilinunuliwa na Kanjo, zilinunuliwa na most government entities. They are nice, they are very economical, they are very fast, but you really need to. They came with an engine that is called the YD22, and the YD22 is the younger sibling to the YD25. So they do share quite a lot, including problems. However, if you take care of it, remember the YD22 on the X-Trail T30 that is local is tropicalized, meaning it does not have an EGR. I don't think it has an EGR. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the Nissan X-Trail T30 that was sold locally by the then DT Dobby, I don't think that the diesel ones had an EGR, and they were quite nice. But you have to really take good care of that engine, especially the turbo. Who else? We have Monica Wangari. Monica Wangari is saying, I'm interested in buying a Nissan X-Trail 2014 second hand. What's your take? Yay! Monica Wangari, I don't think that's a good idea. The 2014, no. The 2014 was the T30, because T32 zimeanza hapa 20 ngapi? T32s, no. Monica, ebu, if it's a T31, you can give it, if it's a T31, you can give it a gamble, but you have to really inspect it very well. Thorough inspection on that unit, tafadhali. If it's a T31 before you buy it, because sometimes, yes. So 2014 is a T32. But okay, there were transitional units. The reason ndio nataka nijue Monica kama ni T30, because there were T31s that were produced later into 2014, si ndio? Alafu T32 zilianza pia hapo. Yeah, so Monica, please confirm. If it's a T32, that's a bad idea. Hiyo usinunue. Ambrose Mwema is saying, thinking of a second-hand off-road vehicle budget between 1.1 million to 1.5 million. What suggestions do you have? You know, when you say off-road vehicle, it cuts across quite a number of vehicles. You might be talking about the 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 Land Cruisers. You might be talking as basic as the Subaru Foresters. So off-road vehicle. What do you mean by off-road vehicle? Do you mean a vehicle that has four-wheel drive, two solid axles at the front, or do you mean a vehicle that basically has ground clearance and probably all-wheel drive? So that needs a little bit more of clearance. Melbur is saying knock knock. Who's there? Harmless Level is saying, hey Eric, how reliable is a Harrier 240G? Reliability iko sawa, fuel economy hapo ndipo shida iko kidogo. Timothy Chalo, what type of transmission affect fuel consumption considering a manual or automatic? Yes, Timothy Chalo, yes, type of transmission does affect, but in modern vehicles, in fact, some modern automatics can have better fuel consumption compared to manuals. Yes, because we have seen a lot of advancement in automatic transmissions. You know, kitambo we would say manuals would consume less fuel, but these days autos are actually consuming. They are registering better fuel consumption these days. Muhammad is saying, how good is the TDI for motion diesel version of the Tiguan? It's a really nice vehicle if it's taken care of. Charles Kingori is saying, hi Okabi, great show, bro. Thank you so much, Charles. What's the difference between VW Golf Wagon and the VW Passat Wagon? Which one is the better buy? Good question. Those cars share a lot of similarities, and from afar you might think they are the same, but the Passat is longer. Sindio, Tom? The Passat is significantly longer. Both will have maybe a 1.4 TSI if they are not the diesel options. But the Passat has a little bit more of power and a little bit more of refinement. So that's the difference. If I was to be asked, the Golf is a good vehicle, but it's like basically asking between buying a Jetta and a Passat B8, which is the better buy. I think now it narrows down to what are you looking for? Are you looking at a large wagon or a smaller wagon? Both are VWs. You'll get to enjoy the VW handling on these vehicles, but they are not. When it comes to the interior, they might look similar, but the Passat is also quite refined as well. And even in terms of looks, the Passat looks quite different from the Golf variant. Cyrus Kibi anauliza intercooler and turbo hufanya kazi aje? Cyrus bana. Cyrus, I'm looking for a good way to explain this. So an intercooler, what an intercooler does, if you have noticed, older vehicles like my Trooper have a turbocharger, but they do not have an intercooler. But with newer vehicles, they have a turbocharger and an intercooler. So an intercooler, you know, cold air is basically dense. So the cooler the air going into the engine, the better the performance. So that's the role of the intercooler, to try and make that air that is being pushed back into the cylinders cool enough to give you that better performance. Michael Nasema, I'm thinking of the SX4. I'm thinking the SX4 is not bad car because it is comparable to the Impreza Outback. Hey, I saw one at 360 and personally, hizo ni zile SX4 za kitambo. I think he's talking about the earlier SX4s. Now, those ones are not bad cars, but body parts sometimes can be a challenge. But we normally say that I thought you were talking about the 2018, 2017, 2016 SX4s, but with the older ones, actually, when you say some are lifted like crossovers, we see with the older SX4s, we had even a sedan like SX4, and we had a hatchback like SX4, and we even had a crossover-ish SX4. So and they are cheap because no one wants to buy them. And again, there were not many. But if you're good with a car, if you want just a car to move from point A to point B, then yes, I would say why not. Gerald Kamau, hi Eric, what are your thoughts on the Mazda CX-30 and how does it compare to the Subaru XV or the Honda Vezel? The CX-30 is basically a lifted version of the Mazda 3, the current Mazda. In fact, even suspension and Yuma, you would be surprised that you see you put the CX-30 against the Subaru XV and the Honda Vezel. I'll tell you where the CX-30 actually gets to lose. And it's a very unpopular statement, especially kwa wase wa Mazda. If you look at the suspension, the rear suspension of the CX-30, iko na ile mlingoti, you know, the torsion beam suspension at the back, whereas the XV and the Vezel have a multi-link independent suspension at the back. So what Mazda argues is that they used a torsion beam on the Mazda 3, the current, what succeeded the Axela and the CX-30. They have a torsion beam suspension, and this was to reduce the cost of running the car and the cost of maintenance, because you know those multi-link suspensions or the independent suspension at the back sometimes is quite costly because of the many bushes and all that. But if you were to ask me, the CX-30, it is very good looking, comes with a variety of engines, including a 1.8 liter diesel, doesn't have the 2.2 liter diesel that was available on the CX-3. But if you were to ask me, between, how does it compare? I think it all narrows down to personal preference, because personally, I'm not somebody who would buy any of these three vehicles that you have mentioned. And this is because my motoring habits and my passion cannot go into this. Because one, I'll tell you, these are cars for people who want to move from point A to point B. They have ground clearance to navigate Nairobi bumps. The one that would fall closest to a car that I would call tough and hardy would be the Subaru XV. So, but the CX-30, you know, many people will fall for the CX-30 because of how it looks. And even then the other significant difference is that if all of them, now the Vezel has a hybrid option, the XV has a mild hybrid option, the CX-30 does not. Yes, I believe it does as well. But if you look at all these cars, it's only the CX-30 that has a CX 6-speed auto. The Vezel, if you get it as a hybrid, it will come with a 7-speed DCT. If you get it as non-hybrid, it will come with a CVT transmission as well. So I would say it will narrow down to the personal preference, because all these cars in a range between up to 2.7 to 3 million. But you know, these days, especially with cars that are bought emotionally, most of the people will go for how a car looks. You know, there are three major types of people who buy cars. There are people who will buy cars because of how they look and so bought it. And those are the majority. There are the people who would buy cars because of how cheap they are to run. And there is the third category, which is the smallest percentage. And these are people who know what they want to buy. So that is why, yes, it compares quite. It's a good car. It's very refined. It's good for the urban person. Wale watu wanataka looks, but I do feel the torsion beam suspension at the back when on the CX-30 was a bit of a downgrade. That's my personal opinion, Bwana Gerald. Samuel Andati is saying, Monica Wangari with the 2014 with games remind me with the song Twende Rivers. Samuel umeanza. Savia Hussein Wagaza is saying, tell us about Toyota Kluger and Toyota Surf. Toyota Kluger was a good car that was known to be very thirsty. Toyota Surf is basically the SUV version of the Hilux, which currently is the Fortuner. Mike Moore is saying, hi Eric, my question today is a bit technical. What do you think about engine swaps, pros and cons, and is it plug and play or is it an expensive trip to the garage? Now, that depends largely on, Michael, that depends largely on which engine are you swapping and to what car. Because some can be perfect fits, others would require a few modifications here and there, others would be very, very, very pricey. We have... who else? Eric, advice on PPF or RAP for paint maintenance. PPF is good. PPF is good because it might be pricey, but it protects your paint job very well. Steve Crown, they rate the reliability of the 300 TDI Defender scale of 1 to 10. I would give it a 9.5. And the 500, the 5 that remains is because you have to deal with oil leaks every now and then, which is a normal problem with the 300 TDI. But it's a good engine. It's a lovely engine. The X-Trail T32, and what are your reasons kindly? The T32 has a very problematic gearbox, especially if you're going towards those mileages in unasema. There's a video we did about the Nissan X-Trail T32 gearbox. You can search it. It's on the video. Or zilikuwa, it's like it's a last year video. So just check it out. Listen to what the technician has to say, and then decide if you want to buy a T32. EJ, who else is asking? After Monica, David the Tech, Mazda 6 manual diesel 1500cc, full spec with mods versus Mazda Axela 2200cc automatic transmission. I'm in a dilemma. Now, David the Tech, these are what I call personal decisions, and decisions that I might not help you make uh, by yourself, because it depends. Are you looking for thrill of driving? Are you a manual enthusiast? Because if you're not a manual enthusiast, I don't know why you would be getting a manual CX3. Um, well, the Axela, there's also, are you looking for, because the CX3 has slightly better ground clearance compared to the Axela. So I think first of all is to understand what are you looking for in a car. And that should be the very first step when you're buying a car. It's not all about so and so bought a car and I want to buy one. First of all, understand your driving habits. That is, hiyo ndio kitu nitakwambia ya kwanza. Understand your needs as a car person. We together on that? Sawa. So Jonah Cherono is saying, "Hi Eric, with a budget of 1.5 million, can I get a clean Toyota Hilux double cab or Isuzu D-Max double cab?" You would get an Isuzu D-Max double cab, but not the current generations, about 2 generations behind. With the Hilux 1.5, you'll get an older one. You'll get those old Vigos, because Hiluxes can be quite expensive. Benson Olik is saying, "Hi Eric, do you recommend the 2016 Mazda CX-5 petrol model? What's the difference comparison with the 2018 CX-5 model?" There's a big difference in terms of exterior, interior. The engines might be the same, but there's a difference in tune. So the 2018 will be a bit more refined. Yeah, so they are like heaven and earth. Hata ukiwekewa hizo gari mbili pamoja, you will definitely go for the 2018. Alex Zero is saying, "How serious is an issue with the throttle after diagnosis?" It shows what nimeona. I think I lost that question. Oh yes, how serious is an issue with the throttle when after diagnosis it shows too rich at idle bank 1? Now I think that needs a visit to the garage. I would say hiyo ni kitu unafaa ujue, but that tells you if you're saying too rich at idle, rich means there is too much fuel. In fact, the throttle, if you're talking about the mixture being too rich, it means it means that there is too much fuel in the air to fuel ratio. And what that does, it makes your car lose power, itoe moshi kama ni ya petroli, moshi kidogo, and then have misfire na pia very bad fuel consumption. However, having a mixture that is too rich can be caused by several things, and I feel it would be more or less cost. The spark plugs have a higher chance of making your car run rich, and also the throttle as well. Now the other thing is your throttle mechanical or is your throttle electronic? Because that would also if it's electronic, we have to go all the way to the throttle positioning sensor and all that. If does it have a lot of carbon buildup? Because a vehicle running rich, mostly you should be looking at the nozzles, the spark plugs. The throttle actually does not have a very big role to play, especially if it's at idle. Kama tunaongea kuhusu gari ikiwa idle, then we might be looking at The other thing is, if it's running rich at idle, does the vehicle have high revs on at idle? Rev yake imepita 1. Those are some of the, and that's why I'm saying this is a problem that would need to visit a garage. Let's proceed to Shaban Joseph. Is Mazda CX-3 1.5 diesel locally used a good option for the first time car owner? It depends on the quality of the car at the time when you're buying it. You have Cleophas here. Go, hey Eric, what's your take on the 2014 Lexus 450h? It's not a bad vehicle. David Kamau, why do zero mileage cars in Kenya are more expensive than zero mileage cars in other countries? Hey, David, hapo kuna maneno mingi, maneno mingi sana. That one we hiyo tutaongea siku ingine. The Informer, hi Eric, good job please. Asante sana. I need fast I need my fast with a budget of 500 to 750k. My options are Honda Fit 2012, Nissan Tiida 2010, Mazda Verisa, and maybe a Toyota Ractis. Which one would you think wins? Now, the Verisas came with an automatic transmission, which would be a plus to me. All these others are CVTs. The Tida wins in terms of space and also ease of maintenance, surprisingly, because the 2010 Tidas, their parts are very cheap. Now, the Honda Fit is quite reliable. The Ractis, again, is very reliable and is also quite easy to maintain. But if it's a first-time car, I would this one again would go down to your needs. Do you need space? Because the Honda Fit on this list is the smallest. If you're talking about ease of maintenance, these are cars that will not cost an arm or a leg to maintain. The Verisa here is the Verisa is actually a very nice car, 4-speed automatic, perfect for moving from point A to point B. But so these ones will depend largely on what are you using the car for, because they are more or less the same, and also what's your personal opinion, because I can tell you that a certain car here looks funny, but to your eyes iko in a car fiti. So there are some decisions that I can't tell you buy this or buy that, because if it's a question of reliability, all cars here are significantly reliable. But I would rank them from the top to the bottom. I would rank them as Honda Fit, followed by the Mazda Verisa, followed by the Toyota Ractis, and lastly comes the Nissan Tiida. But do not be deceived, because the Tiida is a very, 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 very easy to maintain vehicle, and that is something that most people do not know. But again, it needs some proper love and care. Peter Mukusu is where is Peter? Peter ameenda wapi? Where is Peter? Where is Peter? Oh, he's saying Mazda CX-5 2-liter petrol has over the Subaru Forester. It has to be the gearbox. The gearbox. Those Mazdas have a very good gearbox, and also the handling, the premium feel. You cannot compare the Mazda feel with the Subaru feel, to be honest. The Informer is saying, hello Eric, good job. Please, I need my first car with a budget of 500 to 750. My options are Honda Fit 2012. That one I think I've talked about that. Sawa sawa. So let me take one question from Mercy Omondi. A maximum budget of 2 million, Axela 2018, foreign used Honda Vezel or used Subaru XV locally. 2 million, Axela 2018, foreign used Honda Vezel locally used, or Subaru. No, go for the Axela 2018. Go for the Axela 2018. Foreign used, the better. Also, considering most Subaru XVs are locally used, have a high mileage. Confirm this is true for the first. Well, mileage depends on the usability venye mtu ametumia gari, but from the list you have put through, I would encourage you to get the Axela 2018 that is not locally used. The problem with locally used is that you never know. There is that point of uncertainty, especially why somebody is selling a relatively new car. Yes, kuna mashida, but if this is a car you're getting and you want peace of mind, just go for the Axela 2018. That is not foreign used. And let me do this. I think Ken, we have Ken Bogo, and I think so. Asante sana Ken kwa super chat. Anasema hey Eric, kazi safi. Got a 2018 Legacy before. Iko na small leakage. I'm told the gasket ya top cover. It was jacking kidogo at low speeds though and rough idling. Your diagnosis and you have a mechanic. Now, Ken Bogo, I think if it can a small leakage, is the leakage, if it's at the top, then that could be a top cover gasket. Or but unajua Subaru Legacies, their heads are on the side. So do this, Eric. You can reach out to Suleiman, and I will give you his. Do this, Ken. Just drop us a text on WhatsApp. The number is in the screen. The 0710 844 863. Na sasa just send us a WhatsApp message and I'll be able to call you immediately na to discuss some of these things. Graphics design, asante sana. Alafu Gift Kimati anasema tumletee Land Rover 109. Hiyo itamwork. So now I think it's the second, we get to the second segment of this show, and that will be discussing a few things that have happened with regard especially to direct importation, and also the cabs and KRA regulations that are coming up each and every day. And as Tom comes to the stage, I would like to remind you guys that next week we shall be coming in live from Kampala, Uganda. Yes, and I think Tom anaweza ingia, as Tom aingie, tunaweza kuwa tuna prepare hapa kidogo so that we can have the second segment of Konnekt Live.
Some stories are carved through dust and discovery. From the quiet corners of Nairobi, where the tarmac ends and the carriage begins, to the windswept highlands of the north, where the earth breathes ancient secrets and Lake Paradise awaits, like a mirage in the wild. This is not just a journey, it's a test of will, grit, and spirit. Over 500 kilometers of changing landscapes, through deserts, forests, forgotten towns, and stories untold. Get ready for an expedition like no other. No shortcuts, no turning back. Just man, machine, and the wild unknown. Some roads are not meant to be easy. Some stories are carved through dust and discovery. From the quiet corners of Nairobi, where the tarmac ends and the carriage begins, to the windswept highlands of the north, where the earth breathes ancient secrets and Lake Paradise awaits, like a mirage in the wild. This is not just a journey, it's a test of will, grit, and spirit. Over 500 kilometers of changing landscapes, through deserts, forests, forgotten towns, and stories untold. Get ready for an expedition like no other. No shortcuts, no turning back. Just man, machine, and the wild unknown.
That was our trailer. That was the trailer to the trip we made to Marsabit, and the video made a premiere last Monday. So if you have not watched the video, tafadhali enda hapo kwa channel and watch that road trip to Marsabit on our 1985 Isuzu Trooper. And I don't know why Nelson Mashari anasema nam snob. Nelson, what was your question? So now let's head over to, we are joined by Tom.
Yes.
Karibu sana bana.
Thank you.
Karibu. Now, second segment of Konnekt Live. Hapa ndipo tunaongea mambo kinaga ubaga. So there has been several what are they called? Advancements in what KRA is requiring people to import when it comes to importation of vehicles, of motor vehicles. And one of them, and the most critical one, Now, by the way, tukiongea hii story, please remember that we have a strategic partnership on direct importation with Grande Motor Imports. So ukitaka inquiries on importing vehicles directly, you can inbox us directly. So Bwana Tom,
Yeah.
kuna hii kitu inaitwa COO, Certificate of Origin.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've seen KRA has put up on their, it's a circular they have put out on the COO certificate. COO is Certificate of Origin. Wacha nirudie. So tell us more about it, Tom.
Basically, it's a document inaonyesha where the vehicle is coming from, the port it's from, where it's going. Inaonyesha details zote za whatever you are importing into the country. Si kwa magari peke yake. Hiyo inakata across all the imports.
Yes.
So they require you to have one as from 30th of, I think, September.
September, eh?
Yes.
And is it going to attract an added cost?
Yes, it will attract an added cost from around 30,000. That will be an extra cost. Especially, I've checked for the COO from Japan, because we import mostly from Japan. So from Japan, in a range from 28K to around 30,000.
To get a COO?
Yes.
And I saw from that circular that you need to present the original COO.
Yes, the original COO. So that one, it will come with the original documents, the BL, the certificate of roadworthiness, and also the export certificate. So we have a fourth document, the COO.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think, and that is something that if you check out KRA's official website, they have that on their bulletin board.
Yeah.
The other thing is KEBS, kuna vitu KEBS wamesema lazima pia watu wafanye. Watu wakileta magari, hizo vitu ni what is new from the KEBS side?
KEBS wametoa circular relating to the local inspection ya magari. You can either, unakuanga na option ya kuinspect gari in Japan or locally. So ya Japan hawana shida nayo, but the local inspection, they want people to present the original documents to offices za QSJ locally. Zireviewiwe ikue waangalie whether the car mali imetoka si ya wizi, na pia ile tu documentation. So before ulikuwa tu unapeleka gari kwa KEBS, inafanywa inspection, they prove whether hujafanya inspection in Japan ikaanguka then ukaileta, but now they will be taking more time to look at the documentation of your car.
Okay.
And that will attract an additional cost of 12,000 Kenya shillings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So now the other thing about this, Tom, is what would encourage somebody to do a local inspection and not have the vehicle inspected in Japan?
There are several things. Timelines. Kaa saa hizi venye kulikuwa na hiyo nini ya July 1st, so many people waliharakisha walete tu gari kama ije inspect huko, because booking inspection nini inaweza kukula a week or two. So kuna watu waliamua ikuje for local inspection. Hizo zingine tu unapata ni watu wanafanya kufanya chenga hivi. Gari yenye itapita QSJ inakuja tu na they find their way of kupita ikikuja huko.
Okay. So now the other thing, Tom, I would like maybe to bring up is there is this question that comes about tax exemption. Who now, kuna watu wengi wanauliza, can I use somebody else kuleta gari ndio tukue exempted hapa taxes?
Yes, hiyo swali ish because you can, but sasa gari itakuwa yake.
Na haiwezi kuwa
so long as they meet hizo qualifications zote, so long as they meet criteria, kila kitu itakuja. Wao ndio wataenda kufanya clearing process yote, wao ndio watatumika. Sasa hiyo gari itakuwa yako.
So haiwezi kuwa it. And also kuna ile kitu niliambia ya kuangalia bank statements.
Yes, they look at the bank statement. Lazima hiyo pesa ikuwe imelipwa na huyo mtu mwenye ana apply for exemption.
Okay.
Na lazima pia akuwe na ability ya kununua gari. So it's very hard because if someone has an ability kuleta gari already atakuwa ameleta yake tax exempt. Una get? So kwenda kupata mtu mwenye ana qualify kuleta gari na exemption ya for example mwenye ako na disability, si hata yeye atataka kuwa na gari. So ikiwa ako na ability ya kuleta gari atakuwa shaleta yake, so utaweza kumtumia. So huyu mwenye anauliza anataka kuendea mtu mwenye ana ability ya kuleta gari, so it will not be possible.
These days KRA
wamekuwa strict.
Wamekuwa very strict.
Yes.
And Tom, I can see it's 9 p.m.
Yes.
Now we would like to remind you guys that next week tuko wapi Tom?
Next week tuko UG. We've had several queries on direct importation kutoka kwa watu wa UG. Tunataka kwenda ground tuone what is the tax implication huko kwao, so that when we are giving you the guidance on direct importation we have the facts. So we'll be comparing also taxes za huku na za huko, tutawaeleza.
In fact we'll have 3 episodes line up for you.
Yeah,
hizo vitu za especially comparing the taxation system, the motor vehicle tax system in Uganda versus what we have here in Kenya.
Yeah.
Also we are going to shop around for a car in Uganda. And shopping ya gari Uganda.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have very, very, very interesting content lined up for you from the 256. Naona Drake Kevin, and I'll have to take he's asking, what about the change of number plates from old plates to new plates? Is there a deadline to change the number plates? Please, I don't think so. Zile deadline wamepeana tu ni za government vehicles na gari za walipeana government parastatal na think gari za county pia.
Yeah. Hao wengine you can continue.
Tumia tu hiyo number plate mzee inaitangwa panga. So unaweza endelea tu kutembea na panga yako. But ni vizuri. You know now what the change in new plates brought about, Tom, is kuna watu wengi sana wanatembelea magari zenye papers haziko.
Yeah. And you need papers to change the plates.
To change the plates.
Yeah.
So that imeleta vitu mingi sana. Ama unasikia kama leo nilienda mahali kuangalia gari pre-purchase. The car didn't have a problem until ikafika wakati ya documents. So tuliambiwa hii gari ilikuwa ya kampuni. Hiyo kampuni gari. So yes, wako na logbook lakini inasoma ya kampuni ilifunga kitambo.
Kuna kibarua.
Hapa uko na kibarua kikubwa. Yeah. Alafu venye walikuwa wanawaachiana hakukuwa na sale agreement, hakukuwa na any form of agreement.
That's tough. Bila agreement.
You see, there is no evidence that this car waliachiwa.
Yeah.
You know, if there was evidence, then it would be very
easier.
But that is quite a process.
Nelson amerudia hiyo swali yake. Alikuwa amesema snob. Second last Nelson.
Nelson anauza atitigwa na 3008 for first. Hey bana, una compare, sorry to say, but I think Tiguan is way more superior to.
Yeah.
Tiguan's are way more superior comparing it to the 3008.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nelson, I think you would be safer with a Tiguan.
Yes.
3008 kwanza siipendi because yes, looks inakaanga mzuri sana, but in terms of performance, kwanza sport mode yake, unaona kibaton kingine hapa unafinyanga, inaanza kutoa sound kutoka kwa speakers. Hiyo kitu you bo sana.
Yeah.
But I feel you would be safer with the Tiguan.
Yeah.
Sasa Nelson, so let's talk to Vanessa hapa. Vanessa is saying, which is the current most value for money SUV in the Kenyan market for an upgrade? I think for that she would have to give us a budget.
A budget, yes.
Alafu gift anasema ni kama watu tulibuy bikes mulis na ikafungwa. Yeah, kuna watu pia walinunua pikipiki alafu kampuni ikafungwa. Kenya kuna story. But I think Tom, and by the way, we are going also to have the first live show with a live audience. Na on that show nataka tulete watu wako na story zenye washai ile dust watu wameona kwa magari.
Yeah.
We just bring it on a podium so that we can get to hear the stories people have. So if you have an interesting story, kindly reach out to us on our number pale 0710 844 863 on WhatsApp. We'll get back to you and we will invite you for our first live with a live audience, which is not very far away from now. So guys, get ready for that because we are making Konnekt live bigger and better. So as we wind up, tunaenda Uganda. So akina Karota Uganda, watu wote wa Uganda bwana, next kutoka Tuesday tuko Uganda ndani. Sawa sawa. So feel free to say hi, and on Wednesday night we're going to give you a live broadcast from the Pearl of Africa. Ama namna gani? Sindio? So thank you so much. It's always a pleasure having you guys join us, and see you next week from Uganda.
Yes.